Hey guys, today we're going to be learning how to draw some wax resist cupcakes. We're going to start this project today and then we'll use paint to finish it another day. I do know that some of us have some unfinished projects that we may want to work on. If your class has unfinished projects, we'll work on this first and then I'll pass any unfinished work out to us and we can work on that as well. This hopefully shouldn't take too long, so let's go ahead and turn our listening ears and get started so that we can get to work. So let's get to making our wax resist cupcakes. Remember, wax resist is what happens when you use crayon and then you add paint to it and the paint will not stick to that crayon. I do want to mention that if your crayon is super light or you don't press hard enough when using it, then the paint may cover it up a little bit. So for example, what I mean is you're more likely to see a line that looks like this than you are to see a line that looks like this from the same crayon, right? We can see a big difference there. So when you're outlining or going on top of things, just think about the difference between the two lines and how the paint will probably resist, or the wax will resist that paint. So our finished product is gonna look something like this. Today, we're gonna work on doing something like this. So this is more so what you'll turn in today. This is what it'll look like when it's done. Right now you have a project paper and all you need to start is a pencil. We know that we always start in pencil because that way you can erase if you make a mistake. So we're gonna start with the bottom of the cupcake. So to do that, I'm gonna start right about here and I'm gonna do just a slightly curved line. It takes up maybe a third of the paper. It's not too big, not too small, but I have that curved line. Once I have my curved line, I'm gonna work on these two sides. I'm gonna have a line that just comes out. It's slightly diagonal, slightly slanted. There we go. You wanna try to make both of these lines just about even, right? One comes out this way and one comes out the other way. If they're not perfectly even, that is okay, but you wanna try to get them just about even. Once we have those just about even, we're gonna add this part right here, this top of the cupcake liner. So I'm gonna do just a slightly curved line, and that one really didn't curve much at all. Yours can curve more than that. I'm gonna do a slightly curved line right there. So again, so far we've done that curved line for the bottom of our cupcake, and then we've done two lines coming up, and then a curved line that connects those two. All right, now that we have this, we have our base for our cupcake. Let's add the whipped cream on top. Okay, now the whipped cream is one that it might look a little bit funny. You have to kind of trust yourself and you can redo it if you don't like how it looks, but just do the best you can and you'll be able to tell that it's whipped cream or frosting, whatever it may be, once you add that paint and other stuff on. So to do this, I'm gonna start with just kind of this bump on top of my cupcake. So I came up and over, I dipped down slightly, and then went that way. I'm gonna start with that bump. Once I have this bump, I'm gonna come in a little bit, okay? Not all the way to the edge, I'm gonna come in a little bit, and I'm gonna do another bump. Another bump that goes right on top like that. Notice that these bumps are not perfect and they dip down a little bit in the middle. Once I have these two bumps, the start of my frosting, I'm gonna add this top part here. So I'm going to have a line that goes up a little bit and then it's gonna come up to the top. So it's like a wavy line, a curvy line, comes up to the top. Then I just need to add another line that's lightly curves and comes back down, just a slight curve and comes back down, and it goes back into that second blob, right? That second bump. So now I should have my frosting on top of my cupcake, my frosting or whipped cream, whatever it may be. If I'd like to add a cherry, I do that by just adding a half circle on here, a little curved line for part of the stem, and then a curved line next to it. So if you want to add a cherry, that's how you would do it. If you're gonna add sprinkles, I would maybe just add those with crayons so that you can figure that out, but you could go in and put them in there with pencil to figure out what size, shape, and length you want them to be. Okay, so now that we have the base of our cupcake, if you want to add some kind of a design to your cup, you can come in and do that. It could be whatever kind of design you want. It doesn't have to be the lines that I've done on either of mine, but if you wanted to, you could add a design to your cup. The one thing that we are missing now is a horizon line, okay? Our cupcake is not just floating in the air. We want it to sit on top of something. So I'm going to pick a spot, maybe right in the middle of my cupcake, and I'm just going to draw this horizon line. This is where the table or desk, whatever the cupcake is sitting on, that's where it ends behind it. Okay, so now we have our cupcake sitting on top of our thing. You can go in and you can add any kind of pattern or design to the table. You can add any details to the background. You could just do a fun background like this. Maybe it's a sweet shop and you can see like a door or a sign in the background. Maybe there's other desserts. You can add any of those details that you want in pencil before you start with crayon if you feel more comfortable with that. Once you've drawn all of your stuff out, you're going to use our crayons to go on top of every single pencil line. So you're using our crayons to cover or go on top of every single pencil line. So it'll start looking something like this, and once you get it completely covered with crayon, it'll look a little bit more like this. You may still see the crayon underneath, or the pencil underneath certain parts of the crayon, but you should have crayon on top of every single pencil line. Once it looks something like this, you're going to find a spot somewhere on it. It can be on the front or on the back, and you're going to add your name. Please make sure that your name is on your paper so that I can grade it, but also so that people can see who made it if it ever ends up on display in the hallway. So you can add this either on the front or on the back, but make sure your name is on it. Once you've drawn out your cupcake and you've gone on top of every single line with crayons, you may go ahead and check that your name is on it and put it in the turn-in tray for the day. We're going to go ahead and add paint to it another day, so this is all that we need to do to it today. So again, we drew out the cupcake. We used our crayon to go on top of all of our pencil lines. We made sure our name is on it, and then you can turn it into our turn-in tray. Once it's turned into our turn-in tray, you can either finish any unfinished work that you have in our class, or you can get a coloring page, a free draw paper, or a book to work on quietly at your table. If you have any questions, just raise your hand and I'll come around to help you.